It is your Classic Metal Show right here on the ClassicMetalShow.com. That blazing song you just heard is from a band called Death Dealer, and that is the self-titled track right there. And a guy that's been on the Classic Metal Show a couple of times, a legend in the metal world, somebody that we actually like for a change. We want to welcome back to the show Ross the Boss. What's going on, Ross?
Hey, I'm very good. Thanks for having me on the show again.
Well, I've thrown the invite out to you, and I told you, and I really mean it, you can come on anytime. Now, we don't throw that invite out to everybody, but you're in one of the elite.
Well, thank you very much. It's an honor.
Well, we don't mind sharing our airtime with you.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, Ross, you obviously are a very busy guy. I mean, you guys, you've been playing with various bands, your own bands, and doing guitar work and doing things on and off. Not to a point to where you're like a core member of any band, but would you say this new Death Dealer, you are now a core member of a band?
Oh yeah, this band is definitely not a solo project, a side project for any of us. We consider Death Dealer a band of the future, band of now. There's no way this is a side project.
Sure. Well, Ross, talk a little bit about Death Dealer. I mean, it's definitely a super group of sorts with yourself and Sean Peck and Mike Davis in the band. How did this band come together, and how do you guys all know each other?
Well, it was about 18 months. It wasn't really that long ago. 18 months on Facebook. Sean Peck contacts me on Facebook and goes, "Oh, listen, I love you," and because it was political, it was before the election, and we were talking a lot about things, and how that goes on Facebook, and he goes, I have a couple of songs I want you to play on if you would like. And he goes, yeah. I go, really? Yeah. I said, and I like playing with a lot of different people. So I said, sure, Sean, because I know him from The Cage, and he's a great singer. And so he, and then we ended it, the next day, I get this call from Facebook message from Stu Marshall, and Stu Marshall's an Australian gent, and he goes, yo, mate, and I really love you playing. I grew up with you. You influenced me a lot. Your Man of War days, and it's the best, and blah, 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 blah. You know how that goes. And then he goes, I'm working with Sean, by the way. I go, really? Sean from Sean Peck? So I'm kind of seeing this thing build up. So the next day after that, Sean gets me back and goes, oh, by the way, I have a whole project in mind that's called Death Dealer. You go, really? That's great. So that's how it began, and it's like, well, I got you, and if you want to come, it was either you or KK Downing. Stu wanted, and if you say so, you're in the band, and me, and we got Mike Davis on bass, and he played with Lizzie Borden and Rob Halford, and I said, well, that's good credentials, that's very excellent. So and then I said, who's the drummer? And he goes, Rhino. And I go, I'm in the band. That's it.
Nice.
I'm in.
Well, Ross, doing a project like this, and with having so many guys that are in so many that have been in so many projects, does that kind of eliminate the what tends to happen a lot with supergroups, where there's usually like one focal guy, and then the other guys are sort of names, but they're not as big of names? Because it just seems like you guys all, I mean, certainly your time in Man of War probably is a little bigger than the other guys in the band, but at the same time. Yeah. Everybody that's in Death Dealer, are pretty much on the same playing field right now, don't you think?
Yeah, yep. I definitely agree. We're all definitely world-class musicians, that's for sure. And it's a project. It's everybody has a lot of respect for each other. We don't look at it before we go on stage. Before we go on stage, we don't say we don't go on stage and say, "Oh, we're famous in this band," and blah, blah, blah. We don't care. I mean, it's like if we start from scratch when we go on stage. There's no ego. So.
Well, Ross, it seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, that every time you get involved with a new project, it gets more heavy and more brutal as you go along. And
yes.
you're not a spring chicken, but you are playing like brutal metal that a band say half your age would probably do. And how do you enjoy that? I mean, obviously you're.
Yeah. You know, we're having a blast. We're having a great time. Now, I don't know where this ageism comes into it. It's just this, you know, the music is we feel the music is fresh. We call upon the old school, you know, metal, but there's a blast of stuff in there, and you know, it's just Death Dealer. And when I hear in a review, oh, it's amazing the energy level of these guys. I don't get it. I just don't get it. I don't know. Well, you know, I'm probably the oldest. I'm the oldest guy in the band, so the other guys are, you know, 10 years less. I don't know. And I really don't care. No one cares. So that's the great thing about heavy metal.
Yeah. Well, it's not that we don't care. It's just that it's just interesting to see a veteran guy who's been in the business for, you know, going into into 40 years now, coming out with something that'll just blow the roof off the place. You know,
it is good, isn't it?
I like it. I love it.
Yeah, and the next one's going to be more brutal, guaranteed.
Well, I like the fact that you're already talking about a new record already, and this one is just now making the rounds.
Most of the songs are written.
Wow, look at that.
Yep.
Well, I guess.
Hard.
Well, I guess the door will be open again to have you come back on.
Listen, I tell you, as I said before, this is not a project. The band is not a project, and there's a lot of news. There's a lot of news coming up, and I've been added to the Metal All Stars tour in South America.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, it's going to be an arena tour, you know, big, huge halls. Phil Anselmo, Joey Belladonna, Udo, Max Caballero, I think Tom Araya, two guys
Nick Menza.
Nick Menza, three ex Megadeth members, and me. And there's going to be a special act opening that tour.
Oh. Anybody we know and are talking to?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I really can't say, but maybe our listeners can take a guess.
Very cool, man. Well, Ross, I wanted to ask you something about your past, and it's something that as a fan of you and as a fan of Manowar is driving me absolutely crazy. And okay. I'm curious to have your answer, and feel free to say no comment if that's what you want to say. But as a fan of Manowar, I've got to say it is really not cool at all to see them re-recording Kings of Metal and to see them re-recording battle hymns without you, actively playing on that. Does that bother you, or are you okay with that at this point, or what?
Well, the thought of it is just, I mean, why do it? I mean, it just doesn't, you're not going to make it any better. You're not going to, if the original lineup that played that record is not playing it, then set aside the fact that it's many, many years later and the technology's different, and the fact that Manowar tuned down a whole step, it's in musicality, it makes a lot of difference. So, everyone's different, Eric's voice is different, so it's a whole, I don't know, for me, I don't know why you would do that, but, Joey's a different kind of person. Maybe they need something to do.
Yeah, that's a very politically correct answer, sir.
All right.
I hear you, man. Well, let me ask you.
It's a brilliant record. They're all my 6 records are great records. I enjoy them.
Sure.
So I don't, I would have to say they're probably going to redo the other 4 too.
Sure, probably so, which I won't be picking up, but that's me personally. But let me ask you one more about a guy from your past, and since we haven't talked to you in a couple of years now, I wanted to ask you about the passing of Scott Columbus, man. I know he was a personal friend of yours. How did you take that, and how's everything with the rest of his family and whatnot?
Well, we took Scott. When Scott left, he started to call me a lot. We started to really retouch the bases a lot, and I would. I would call him we would speak every week, twice a week, 3 times a week for hours, and talk about the way things are, the way things were. And, with the Ross the Boss band came, we had 2 records. We did a string of dates, in the 2010, and we had Scott. I said, let's see if we could book the show, book the tour, Ross the Boss Band and special guest Scott Columbus, and have Scott play along. You know, come and play along, play on real drums, no electronic, no electronica, and you know, and get him out there and let him whack on some drum and let people see how great he is. You know, and that's what we did. We played Bloodstock, we played Yarrow Metalli in Finland, and we played in Cyprus. We played all over the place, and a lot of, you know, it was great, and I thought it was going to help, but you know, a lot of people have a lot of demons in life, and Scott, I love Scott as a brother. I loved him as a dear friend, and it was really a deep loss for me. It was a huge loss.
Sure, Ross. Well, getting back to this Death Dealer release, there's 12 tracks on this U.S. release here, and any one of these songs stand out for you in particular? Any one of them that just, you know, is like your baby? I know everybody says, well, the whole record's my baby, whatever, but is there any particular track that sticks out for you that you really enjoy the most?
Do you have Triumph and Victory on that?
Let me see here.
Or do you have the American release?
No, I got that, the Triumph and Victory. I have that.
I love that song.
Any particular reason why?
I just like the lyrics. I don't know, the guitar work. I just don't. I love the hook. I think it's a metal. It could be a metal hit. I don't know. I go along every week. I have a different song on that. You know, Never to Kneel is one of my favorites. But this week it's Triumph and Victory.
Sure. Now, I noticed that some of the touring plans with this, you know, Death Dealer. There's talk that you guys are, you know, not only are going to play from the new release, but you plan on throwing in some old classics as well. What could fans expect to hear from you when they see you?
When they come see the band, we do Hail and Kill.
Nice.
Which is a big fan favorite, and you never know. You never know what we might throw in. You might get a off the cuff Kings of Metal or a Gloves of Metal and something like that. So we like to keep it interesting.
Sure. Now, Ross, with the emergence of Death Dealer, does that put the Ross the Boss solo records that you've been doing, you know, kind of on the shelf for now? Because those records were kicking ass too.
Yeah, they were very good. I love them records. I love the, you know, super hard rock power metal. It wasn't super power metal, but I think the band was more of a hard rock. But I think those are two great records, and we're sort of like on hiatus now, but you never know. I think we might fire it up soon. I don't know. Depends on my schedule. You know, I mean, between the Dictators and Death Dealer, it's pretty busy.
Sure. Excellent. Well, Ross, the new record is simply called Death Dealer. Where can people find out more about the band and you know, online or wherever? Okay,
you can go to deathdealer.co, which is our fabulous website, deathdealer.co, not com, deathdealer.co. Death Dealer Facebook page, the band. You can buy the record at iTunes now. If you go online, if you go on our website, you can. I'll tell you where to get it all over the world.
Sure, excellent. Well, Ross, yep. We always enjoy having you on the show, and you know, I'm looking forward to maybe seeing Death Dealer here in the States. Do you have any dates lined up yet, or is that
not
still
U.S. dates? Not U.S. dates, just South American dates.
Nice. Well, hopefully we'll get to see you here, and you know, had this been, you know, and I know you hear this all the time, had this been, you know, 1988 or 1989, you guys would be huge.
That's true.
Yeah, I know. That sucks.
But I have a very, very good feeling about this and this next couple of years. Things are looking very, very good. So, you know me, I'm always positive.
Good. Excellent. All right. All right, Ross. Again, it's always a pleasure to speak to you.
Take care. It's an honor to have me. Thank you very much for having me on again.
And the new CD is excellent, so go pick that thing up if you just want to rip your face off. It's just awesome. Death Dealer.
It's one of the loudest ones I've ever heard. And Stu Marshall mastered it. Stu Marshall mixed and mastered it. I got to give him the plug, and he's brilliant.
Excellent.
He's a brilliant producer and mixer and masterer.
Sure. All right, Ross. Well, we always let our artists pick a song from the new CD and, take us out of the interview with it. So what should we play?
Well, we'll go with Triumph and Victory.
All right. Excellent. All right. From the new Death Dealer release, here it is. This is Triumph and Victory exclusively here
on your Classic Metal Show.